6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Welcome, welcome very, very much to Conversations. It's a pleasure to welcome to the program an old friend of Conversations, that being Gloria Messer. She's done about 10,000 programs with me over the back in the dark ages when the things were just getting going. And she's a member of the gang here at MNN. She's got a program called Access for All, and she's kept up very well with the technology. And she's filling in now. We had another guest scheduled who couldn't make it. She's filling in. It's good to be able to talk to her again. We're going to be talking about politics, the presidential election, with a particular reference to Mr. Bernie Sanders, and also a man who talked about that sucking sound and so forth back in '92, Ross Perot, because we've had some experience with that. I've talked a lot. Welcome to the program, please, Gloria Messer, producer of Access for All.
Hi,
Say
Harold.
something. Okay.
I said something.
All right, fine. So we're going to be talking. This is it will set the standard. I mean the schedule. This is March 15 of the year 2016. The election season is all in full bloom. They're having another series of 5 states have their primary elections on this very day that we'll all have to rush home and find out the results of. And what we wanted to focus with you on, and the theme of the week is particularly people who are interested in Bernie. What does he represent? And then also maybe some reference of what does Mr. Trump represent? But you're laughing. But in any case, let's just wade in here now. No, I know what we do. Why don't we talk about Mr. Perot? You were one of the volunteers for Mr. Perot. Was it back in 1990?
That was 1991.
91. Okay, talk about him. Now, he was a phenomena, sort of like what Mr. Bernie would like to be, I think.
At the time, I worked for Perot because he was different than everyone else.
Right.
And now I am for Bernie because he was different. He is different than everyone else.
Well, don't you see Mr. Trump as being different than everyone else?
No, he's
he's against the system, you know.
Against the system. He is the system. He's dishonest and he's a liar.
Well, outside of that, I mean, no. Okay, well, that's interesting. So you see a continuation of the sentiment. There was widespread, for those who are younger or perhaps don't remember or be recalling, there was a major movement around Mr. Ross Perot back in the 90s when that political season.
Yes, there was. And we all worked very, very hard for him. And he got screwed by the political system.
Uh-huh.
He had his campaign offices in a law office on 8th Avenue.
Uh-huh.
And the law firm was really for his opponents.
Okay, I'm trying to follow, but go ahead, yeah.
The law firm was not supporting him. They were against him. And I think that's what's happening to Bernie here.
Oh, you mean Perot was member of a law firm? Is that it? No.
Perot had a campaign office.
Yes.
Someone offered him office space.
Oh, office space to do it. Yeah, right, okay.
Who were not for Perot. They were for the other side.
Wow. That's interesting.
People were calling up to volunteer. You would take down their names, and I would go, can't we call them? We need people to answer the phone.
Yeah.
No, just leave them there. And I go, well, what's happening? What are you doing with all these people?
Yeah.
They just wouldn't get them together. And I'm afraid this is happening to Bernie again in the city.
Okay, that's interesting.
I think the people are for Bernie, but the establishment or the political Republicans who really run this town are not.
You're talking about the town or the country, but the Republican establishment is apoplectic about Mr. Trump. They're trying their damnedest to get something, if they possibly can. They're very worried it could be the end of the Republican Party.
There are no parties anymore, Harold.
Oh, okay,
we have one party, and it's called Republic Rats.
Got you, Republic Act.
And they're all dishonest, and they're all getting paid off.
Republic Acts?
Republic Rats.
Republic rats.
Rats.
Yeah. Okay. I just that's a
Because
yeah.
all of them are only interested in their own selves.
Okay, but let's back up a little bit more. Mr. Perot was a major guy. He had a lot of things, and he was talking about the sucking sound having to do with. It was the bill that was what's the one it's called that related NAFTA, North American
NAFTA
Free
was
Trade.
back in '91.
I think so. It was
That far back? I thought we were working on NAFTA now.
But we're working on these trade deals. Mr. Trump, the thing, or Bernie. We stick with Bernie. He has this thing against them, and one of them is what is it? PTT now. It's there. TPP now. But back in those days, it was NAFTA, North American Free Trade Association.
Well,
accent.
First of all,
he was talking about how that was ill-advised. That was a major issue that he had. The trade policies.
Well, the trade policies are not for the people. The trade policies are what happens is the corporations have shipped all their manufacturing to other countries.
Yeah, well, that NAFTA facilitated that.
Well, all of these trade agreements are not for the people. What they do is they remove the jobs from the United States.
Yeah, that's what Bernie
said. And they destroy the economy here.
Yeah.
And Bernie is right.
Yeah, and so does Trump say the same thing.
Well, Trump says whatever you want him to say.
No, he says, I can make a better deal.
He can't make any deals. He takes the temperature. He listens to what the polls say, and he tells you what you want to hear. Now, first of all, as far as the polls go, I don't believe in the polls.
Yeah.
When you go take a poll and you walk in and order the poll taker asks you, what do you want the poll to say? Now, I did some research recently, and one of the poll companies was saying, we can do polls for you. Just tell us what you want to hear. We have a great range of people we can call. So what they do is they tailor the polls so you get what you want to say.
A free market thing, huh?
Right.
Yeah.
And the polls have absolutely nothing to do with it. And of course, you have to remember that Trump, there were two states where he couldn't buy the polls.
I'm not familiar. Yeah.
Well, he lost in those two states. And he wouldn't even go and he wouldn't campaign there. He wouldn't even go to the states because he knew he couldn't buy the polls.
Well, I don't know. I wonder if we could back up to...
Well, what do you mean get back?
No, I wanted to back up to Ross Perot as a phenomenon in case people...
about Ross Perot.
Well, he had a
gone.
major thing going that had the system all bent out of shape. Because there were volunteers, they were really influential, they were really ecstatically in support of him as representing change.
Harold, Perot has nothing to do with today.
No,
Why
it's
are we
an example.
talking about that? Why don't we talk
well,
about
Bernie
what's
Sanders
happening
is in this.
today?
No, just as there's a comparison
Yes, so
with Bernie
why don't we
Sanders.
talk about that?
Well, we can, but this is historical roots. He was talking. He got a huge following, Perot, at that time, and it really was roiling the country something fierce. You were a volunteer, and others were.
First of all, your vote doesn't count because of the Electoral College. You see, everybody wins the vote. But they're only interested in the Electoral College because the Electoral College decides who gets in, and we have to get rid of the Electoral College.
Was that one of his? Was that Mr. Perot's vision too? Do you remember his comment?
That's
yours.
That is not mine. It's true.
Okay,
your vote doesn't count. I worked in the voting.
As one of the volunteers.
I worked as a volunteer in the voting things. And the votes would come in, they say, he won. I'd look around and I'd say, what are all these votes here that are not counting? How could they announce that he won when the votes are not in?
Yeah, but it was a big movement.
Anyway,
never mind.
For the votes,
well,
what they do is they count the Electoral College, and we must get rid of the Electoral College.
I haven't heard. Okay, I hear you saying that.
They gerrymander the zones, and they take people, they fix the areas that people live in so that they can get who they want, the majority they want.
Yeah, they do all the tricks and things like that. But the thing is, Maybe we could try and stick with Bernie then and everything. But
Well,
Bernie,
you have no
I've heard
choice
Bernie
because everyone else represents.
No, you
the
have Hillary. You
corporation.
can vote for Hillary if you're a
Hillary
Democrat.
and all of there are no Democrats and Republicans. There's corporate fascism.
And
And
fascism
corporate
is a strong
fascism
term.
is running this country right
well,
now.
Fascism's
Well,
a really
I
strong
feel like
term.
I am sitting in 1930s Germany.
Oh,
I
that
think
we want
it
to go
was-
back to that. Well,
Well,
you could.
it is
yeah.
like that. Nobody wants
Much
to
of
believe
the world
it.
compares
It
Mr.
is like 1930s Germany right now in the United States.
Well, there's a lot of that kind of thing comes up. They compare Mr. Trump with Mussolini and Hitler.
Well,
Fascism. Fascism.
well, he is.
Well, okay. Well, now what about Bernie?
What about Bernie?
Are you
Bernie is
following?
the only person who is interested in people like you and I.
Mm-hmm.
And what is it? The Goldman Sachs,
That's a
the
big
head
bank,
of Goldman Sachs
Yeah.
said Bernie is dangerous. Of course, Bernie is dangerous
To them, yeah.
to the fascists.
Yeah.
He's dangerous to the people who have been stealing our money, who have been corrupt, and who have destroyed Wall Street, have destroyed the banks. And at this point, the banks are all insolvent. And they haven't admitted it yet. That we have this circus that they call a campaign.
Yeah, but
So that
okay.
you don't talk about the fact that the banks are insolvent and that Wall Street is not doing well. You don't hear anything. All you hear is this circus.
Well, okay. That's your ideas and everything. What I'm trying to get
It's
your
obvious,
interpretation.
isn't it?
No.
It's obvious, isn't it, Harold?
Not all of those things
well,
you
what
said
have
are
you
obvious
heard
to
about
me.
the banking system?
First of all, fascism's a
what
really.
have you heard about the banking system and Wall Street lately? Nothing.
That's true. You're true.
Yeah,
That's true.
all you hear about is the circus.
The circus is
The
the campaign.
campaign.
The campaign. Well, it's the election year and all that kind of stuff.
Well,
yeah.
it's a reality show.
No.
It's to get your mind away from what's really happening.
Well, what's his name? Trump is a reality show guy. He cut his
is a
teeth.
reality
He's a reality
show.
show, and he's pulling it off. He's getting
He's not
huge.
pulling
He's
it-
getting huge.
Yes, he's getting following against the uneducated, the people without college educations, blue collar workings. That's who he's getting votes from.
Well,
the people who do not realize what is happening, the racist.
Yeah, I know. He's
how
doing
could
all
a
that.
black person vote for Donald Trump?
I don't have any idea how they could or anything. I know, but that again, there's a difference. What I'm trying to get at is, what do you think Bernie represents?
I
You
said he
don't see a
represents all of us.
You don't see a comparison.
He represents the people.
Oh,
He
well, that's a
represents
very vague thing.
equality. It's not
Yeah.
vague at all. Have you listened to Bernie?
Sure.
Well, what do you think he represents? He represents what he says he represents. He represents equality, non-racism, everything that Trump doesn't represent, Bernie represents.
Well, okay, that's said and everything. Everything. It seems to me that's I was trying to make a comparison with Perot. And
well,
that and the
Perot
spirit.
was 100 years
the
ago. I
spirit
don't
wasn't
remember.
100 years ago. It was about 30 years ago.
It was
and
25 years
yeah,
ago.
okay, it was.
26.
But it was a movement that was outside the normal political process, Republican or Democrat.
Well, actually,
and so now is this year.
Well,
and both
26 years ago,
Trump,
it was exactly the way it is now. The same thing was happening. But they got rid of anyone who changed, and they're trying to get rid of it now. And what's happening today has been going on since after the Second World War.
Well, I could think it's been going on since the dawn of civilization. The fact that you got a few people running everything, it's always been like that, and most people walling around in the mud.
Well, I think in the 60s,
you know.
I think we had a bit of a democracy. I was unsophisticated politically at the time, but I felt free. I do not feel free now.
No, well, okay, right.
There is no freedom.
That's when you were
and
bringing.
one of the things that has helped bring it to this point, which in one way the computer is great because
Absolutely,
it gives us,
it's amazing.
however, what's bad is the people who are controlling the information because they tailor the information for each person that gets it. In
well,
other
you
words,
can get what
they
you want. Yeah.
no, they follow you and they give you ads and information based on what they think you should have. They do not give you information. And also,
I
if
don't
any,
know. I'm
because
trying
they
to
can
follow.
change
You're
it.
talking a
Well,
lot of
just
things.
like they change the votes, they change the numbers in the computers to make it look like somebody won who didn't win.
Well, that's a big serious thing.
Well, that's what the computer is doing now because the wrong people are in control of them.
Boy, it's really pretty bleak, huh?
Well, it's reality, Harold.
In the 60s, you were getting the animals, right?
No, in the 60s.
You were running your business then.
No, that was in the 80s I had my business.
Oh, it was in the 80s.
In the 60s.
Well, you referred to the 60s before earlier about something.
Well, in the 60s, I
remember the 60s. I'm older.
Not much.
And the spirit of Woodstock and all of that. That was
Well,
a time.
I was
there
not
was
in-
something abroad in the world and in the land at the time of Woodstock, also similar to what Bernie's trying to engender. It seems to me.
Well, in
Something major,
in the
not
60s,
just a little change.
I was not with the 60s.
I was.
Well, I wasn't. First of all,
I was.
I am exactly where I am now, in the middle. In the
Glad to see you still open to change, my dear.
In the 60s,
Making a joke.
the people were way, way off to the left, and now we're way off to the right. And what amazes me is that they can change people's minds. They make them believe what's happening is right. It's not right.
I think they're getting more ability to do that with the computer, don't you? And,
Well,
and the
computer,
programming of people.
That's
I
what
think,
gives you the people that vote for Trump, the computer.
well,
They read all the false information, the false news reports, the false polls, and they believe it, and they quote it. And that's why they're voting for him. I don't even think they're really voting for him.
Let me say, one of the things you see of the commentators talking and all that and everything is they say there's an awful lot of people who are really, really deeply angry with the way things are.
Well,
you seem to be one of those people and the trend.
Well, I believe
right?
in equality. I believe everybody should be equal.
Uh-huh. Well, they're not. Well, okay,
Well,
yeah.
they are not.
No,
and
they're
I
not.
do not believe just because someone makes $1 billion that they deserve it. Because
$5 billion.
well, whatever,
That's different, right?
Whatever.
$1 billion
It
doesn't have to
doesn't
cut it.
matter.
He's got his own airplane. Trump.
Well, first,
I'm playing with you a little bit.
don't play with me. Getting
Okay.
me angry.
Yeah. Right. No. Right. Right. Well. Okay. Well. Anyway. So what is what I'm getting at in a certain sense is what Bernie's trying to do something that's been tried before, or is it something new?
He's trying to bring back education.
No, well,
He's trying to bring back people having jobs. He's trying to bring manufacturing back to this country. He's trying to protect Social Security, and he's trying to provide a single-payer healthcare system,
Yeah.
which Hillary was originally for, but they wouldn't let her do it.
Mm-hmm.
And a single payer, there is no reason to have the insurance companies making all this money and deciding your health care.
Well, they're
And
making a lot of
anyone
money.
that
out
goes,
of it.
they're making money, but
Yeah.
you're not getting health care. You're getting health insurance, but you're not getting any care. There is no health care now. There is only health insurance.
Well, you say
The
Bernie.
insurance companies are getting the money, and we are not getting health care. Doctors now come in and they work for these companies, and if I've been in an office, and if a patient comes in a few minutes late, they won't take them. Who do
Yeah.
they think they are?
Yeah.
Yet when you go into a doctor's office, you sit and you wait for hours. They don't pay you for that money.
Well, that's the masses of the people have always been like
Well,
that.
no,
to the-
everyone hasn't
to
always
the-
been selfish.
No, well, I think by and large they have. The history of the world is that way.
Well,
You have a few,
I didn't see it
Yeah,
that
well, you
way.
used to have kings sitting in golden plates up
Well,
in the
that's
castle.
exactly what
and
the-
and
that's
the
what we have
masses
now.
the masses were wallowing around in the mud
Well,
as
that's
they are now
exactly
relative.
what we have
Yeah,
now.
but what I'm trying to say is there's no change. It's always been unjust. and
we
a
have
few people
feudal
running
system
everything.
Now.
Pardon?
We have feudalism.
We had
today.
a feudalism system.
We have a feudal.
We had feudalism for 1,000 years after Rome.
We have feudalism right now, except instead of sewing on the sewing machine,
Sewing on the sewing machine,
or farming the land, they have slaves at the computer tapping in information.
You seem to be what would be
equivalent to the sewing machine and farming.
Well, okay. You would seem to be alienated from our political leadership and business leadership. And the patterns they're saying are...
How many people do you know who can't get work today? How many people that you know who can't pay rent? How many people are homeless?
Yeah.
Why aren't we talking about that?
Well, I think we could if we want. I think Bernie is, don't you?
Yes,
I mean,
Bernie's
that's
the
what I'm
only
trying to
one
get at.
talking about
I'm trying to
it.
get historical roots for Bernie. Where is he? Is he unique?
Yes, he's unique.
There's never been a time
in the fact
ready,
that he's
ripe.
Old-fashioned.
Well, no, he's never been a time where the zeitgeist or the spirit of the age or the institution or the evolutionary stage at which humanity is was ready for somebody to call for a major qualitative transformation toward justice ever in the history of the world until now.
Why should it be any other way?
Well,
why shouldn't it be that
by
way?
what?
Justice.
Well, it never has been, you understand.
Well,
that's what I'm saying in the large pattern. It's never been just. It's always been a few people running things. Never. It's never been just.
Well, the thing is, they didn't have the power to force people.
Right. Okay. Well, that's
but
that's different.
Jobs and to starve and to be homeless.
Well,
and
those are details. Those are
details.
Those
are not details, Harold. They're very important.
Well, what I'm trying to get at is this? Let's just get at it a little differently. We had 1969 was a major year, and you had this festival, and the country was really worried about it, and you had all these hippies, hundreds of thousands ended up at White Lake, and they went and they played rock and roll, and they went and frolicked and everything, and they were calling for a revolutionary. There's a major change.
Well,
and it was recognized
no,
as
that's
such.
the same as the people who are voting for Trump. They're followers. They are not leaders. Those were followers.
Well, I was at Woodstock, and most of those people would not be followers of Trump.
They were.
There wouldn't be followers of Trump at the gang at Woodstock. They were all
who were not working.
Okay.
And they were against the establishment.
Well, there were a lot of artists and things like that. And anyway, the point being is, history is a strange thing. There's a lot of it, 200,000 years of our species and everything. And are we coming to a time where there's a quality? There's never been real systems-wide justice, ever. It's always been unjust, okay?
That.
Well, no, think about it. It's just common.
I can't think about that. There was a time when I did not feel oppressed. There was a time when I felt free.
Well, you were talking about, that's what you were talking about, the 60s.
Yes.
Yeah, I was saying, did you go do the animals then? You hadn't done the animals? When did you do the
animals? Were probably the 70s.
Yeah, okay. Well, anyway, you've had a very interesting life and you've done a lot. I know, so you feel free and all that, but it never has been systemically a time that could make for universal justice for all in the way that people are saying until the time in which you and I were born. That's what I'm saying. In the time
that I was growing up, everybody had jobs that wanted them.
Well, there was a lot of injustice. We had the remnants of slavery were still going on.
First of all, we had war, which nobody
Yeah, we had
wanted,
war. Yeah.
Just like we have now. No one's admitting we're in a third world war. There's war all over the world, and no one is admitting we are in a third world war.
What I'm saying is that the conditions have always been like that. You know, it's always that. I mean, then you have PR and things like that people are going to get something, and we make some progress.
In that period,
but do we live now?
Were growing up, people were against war. Today, they're for war. You have the establishment and the voting people, except for Bernie. War, war, war.
I think there's a lot of people would be against war.
Not only that, well, what are our politicians saying? The only thing we need government for is to protect ourselves. Why should we have to protect ourselves if people were contented, if they had access to money, homes, jobs?
Right, but they never
would not have to fight.
Okay. I'm trying to get at something you seem not to be able to see or something. Maybe I'm wrong or something, but I'm trying
we just disagree, Harold.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know that we disagree. It's just that you go to kind of extreme and everything, but
I don't think I'm extreme.
Well-
I think I'm the same way I was then. I'm in the middle. Now everything's
Well, when
to
did
the
you
right.
feel okay with yourself? You said the 60s or something. You said there was
No,
a
I didn't
period
feel
when you
okay
felt okay, but
I
there was
did-
still slavery at that time in the South. There was all kinds of injustice that was intrinsic to the whole system
When
at
we-
the time you were feeling okay.
Hold on, I didn't.
Because maybe
I
you
didn't
were
say
okay.
in the '60s.
Or
Okay, Carol.
when was it that you felt okay?
In the '70s, '80s.
70s and 80s? Is that when you were doing the animals?
Before '88.
Is that
No,
when you
the
were doing the
70s
animals?
I did the animals.
You brought all the animals from
At
Africa.
Great Adventure. Yes.
Yeah, Great Adventure. And you were connected with Leroy, right?
Yes.
Yeah, and you had a thing where, and you had your business. You had a major business.
I had
and it was
a construction business in the South Bronx.
Yeah, I know
and
you did.
also at that time,
You had-
that
you
was
had
when we had women's
dozens of
lib,
right,
lib,
right.
and that's when I said to myself. Also, I left my job at that time to go out on my own.
What job did you have? The animals.
No, this was after the animals.
Well, what job did you have after the animals?
First of all,
you've always been an
I
entrepreneur.
always
thought.
worked on projects.
Yeah, right,
I never
okay.
had a job. We had finished.
Yeah, right. That's
I can't
different.
remember if we finished. I think we just finished Tavern on the Green. We built Tavern on the Green.
Yeah, that was Leroy.
Okay.
Yeah.
And Leroy was lots of fun.
Yeah.
Very interesting to work for.
Yeah, right.
It felt like I had a great opportunity there
Right.
because I had control of everything.
Yeah, right. No, I understand.
Control of
Right.
the money.
Yeah, that's great.
And
yeah.
I could buy or order anything I wanted.
Yeah.
And it was a great feeling
Yeah.
to be free. That
Yeah.
had a lot to do
I'd
with
like that
being
for
free.
everybody, wouldn't you?
Yes,
I
like
really
that for
would. I'd really like. I
everybody.
think it'd be a better world if we could get it to where everybody felt like that. But there was an awful lot of people who didn't feel like that when you were feeling like that. There were a lot of people left out at that time when you were feeling good.
There are a lot of people
Okay.
who didn't have
Now
jobs,
there's still a-
but by the
yeah.
same token, every day I would get out of bed and I would have to call up and try to get people to work for us
Why?
because it was very difficult to get people. Well, actually,
You mean there was a
Be-
shortage of workers?
probably of low-paid workers.
But why didn't you pay them more?
It wasn't my money; it was Warner's money.
Oh, well, okay. Well, anyway, it's individual. But I guess the larger question, do you think there is, or ever has been, or is now, or has been ever a time? Some people will market Woodstock was a focusing of a thing in our time of qualitative change. Not quantitative,
I
not a
didn't
new
feel
Voting
that
Rights
way
Act
at
or
the
something.
time. I
No,
didn't feel that
no, I'm
way
asking
at
now,
the
do you
time
think we
at
live in
all.
that time? Do we live in a time where, and I'm making a premise, I wish you could hear it, that we've never lived in terms of future possibility for a positive outlook for the human condition.
Okay.
Let me finish the thought. We have a technological capability of providing in an unlimited kind of way than what we've had out of history. We also have a destructive capability of the weapons that are species lethal after about 1970, that we can wipe out the species. It's a time of qualitative change. Now
It's-
that's qualitative
I
change.
think that we are be slaves now. You're
Well, yeah,
slaves
but-
to the computer.
well,
you're slaves to the bank.
Well, okay, but what I'm trying to say is that
And the credit card companies.
Yeah,
You're all
right.
slaves of the credit card
and we've
companies.
always the people like
No,
you
we
and I
didn't
talk
have
always
credit
been
cards
slaves.
when I was growing up. We didn't
Well, you
have
did-
credit
yeah,
cards.
the credit
we
cards-
didn't use it the way we did now. About 40 years ago,
Mm-hmm.
I had Chemical Bank as clients, another bank, and the New York Stock Exchange.
for the
They were
booths you were
clients.
being, you were making booths for the
I
shows.
was constructing
Booths, right?
exhibits, not
Yeah,
booths.
exhibits, yeah, uh-huh.
I was filling a whole full trailer truck and sending it across the country.
I know you were, and you had about 20 people working for you,
I
didn't
had
you?
more than that.
More
working
than that.
for
You
me,
were
and
running
I
a big
also
enterprise.
hired people
Yeah,
throughout the country.
and you had brought all those animals from Africa.
That I did too. That
No.
was in the 70s.
Was
not
that with
the
Leroy?
80s. Yes.
Yeah, okay.
That was Great Adventure.
That's a great family.
Now
yeah.
you made me forget what I was saying.
I'm sorry. You were.
Harold.
What I'm trying to get the point of is,
What
do
you
we?
made me
Is
forget
it?
what I was trying
Well,
to say.
I was trying to say that in comprehensive terms of everybody. I mean, because while somebody's doing good, you can be feeling good because you're doing good, but all these people are being oppressed all around. So that's a collective inability to bring that kind of liberation to
there
everybody.
were rights. The government protected your rights at the time. You were not forced to give up your rights as you are today.
Okay.
The banks and the credit
It's
cards
worse
are
now.
taking your rights away from you.
Was there a golden moment when it was good and now it's not good because of the bad things they did?
American Express. I have cones on 57th Street. I went and ordered a pair of prescription glasses.
Yeah.
They gave me the wrong prescription.
Wow, that should be.
And,
they should apologize.
And they didn't apologize. They blamed it on my doctor. They said his prescription was wrong.
So that way
my
you get
doctor confirmed that the prescription was right. And my doctor also had me go to someone else who confirmed the prescription was right.
Mm-hmm.
They are still trying to get money, and American Express is still billing me for the credit they gave me.
Mm-hmm.
They're billing me and charging me for the credit they gave
Sounds
me.
like a flim-flam to me.
Well, this is what
doesn't
the
it?
corporations
Sounds like
are
a
doing.
flim. Yeah,
That's right.
Okay, okay. Well, anyway, so Bernie.
And what about all the credit that the mortgages that they're giving people who have no way of paying these mortgages? And then they're blaming it on the people who took the mortgages instead of blaming it on the mortgage brokers and the banks who had no business giving them the mortgages, but gave them the mortgages because they made money on it.
Yeah, well, okay, yeah, but that's
And
part
now
of a
they're
pattern.
turning around and blaming it on the people who took the
Well,
mortgages.
they would do that. Did you ever try and work in the legal system? Everything's so demand.
Yes,
somebody makes a
before the
demand.
legal-
Everything
the
is
legal
good.
system used to work. It doesn't work anymore.
You don't think so, right?
Absolutely. There is no legal system.
Well, there is.
The person who has the money buys the legal
Okay,
system.
my submission is certainly since the Neolithic. You know, when finally we got.
Forget the Neolithic.
No, I'm
Hal.
trying
We're
to make a
talking
point.
about
You won't
today.
let. No, I'm not. I'm seriously
Well, I'm
talking.
talking about
I'm trying.
today.
Well, we're talking about two different things. We should try not to talk around or past each other. But ever since the beginning
we were
of the
supposed
Neolithic,
to be talking about politics.
Well,
and
I
what's
am. I'm
happening
trying
today.
to. I'm trying to
the
talk to it.
Neolithic was
I'm trying
not
to-
today.
No, it was about 8,000 years ago.
Yeah, so why are we talking about
Well,
it?
that was when we got over 120,000 years of wandering
you know?
around.
You weren't
Well, this
here.
is what the science is telling us. Okay,
Yeah,
never
but
mind.
You don't know.
No, the species appeared about 200,000 years ago.
Says
Okay,
who?
so they got 190,000 years of wandering around, eating on carrion and whatnot as a species, and we survived somehow. It's a miracle. 99.999% of all species have gone extinct. I mean, it's a
And we may
miracle.
go extinct again.
We
Look at
very well
global
may,
warming.
at our own
Why
time.
aren't we talking about global warming?
Well, I think a lot of people are, and it's becoming
and
accepted
you've
silence.
got the idiots up there that are politicians denying that we have global warming. Meanwhile,
Well, that's-
it's hot.
Yeah.
It's been hot all winter.
It had a really nice
And the
time.
icebergs are melting, and nobody's talking
It's
about that
releasing.
either.
Well, there are some, and it's also being emerging from science, and that methane from the mastodons in the Arctic
And
is
what
really.
about the fracking, which is destroying
Yeah.
our water, our land?
Yeah, I know.
So a few people can make money.
It's all about money and power, and that's
Well,
what
it
it's
shouldn't
been.
be
Well, it
about
is and
well,
has
it
been.
Can't be.
It always has
That's
been.
what has to change.
Okay, so what we've
That
had,
has to
it's got
change.
to have, what we've had has been 20, 8,000 years or whatever, 8, 10, whenever you got civilization. You've had a power structure, Nebuchadnezzar, pharaohs, and then you had Rome with the power and everything like that by a few people, and everybody else wallowing around in the mud. And then for 1,000 years after Rome, you had all the hereditary
and now
families
we have exactly the
now
same
you have
thing.
no, you don't. Now
we
you had
have exactly
now
the
you,
same thing.
Well, I'm just finishing the thing. And after Rome, you had the political legitimacy was done by the hereditary families that made up the way they
And
organized.
that's what we have right now.
And then the peasants were still wallowing around in the mud.
And
Also,
the peasants are homeless now.
well, all right, but they were wallowing around in the mud, and always it's been a few people run everything, and everybody else is like
a lot
serfs.
of times people were able to go
Well,
out and be successful on their own.
Well, on the whole,
Today,
and as a
you
pattern.
cannot go out and be successful on your own unless you lie, steal, and cheat, because you have to have the banker, the insurance guy, and the accountant as your partner. You can't open a business. I opened my business with my own money.
Well,
And
it's
you
good you
can't
had
do
that to
that
be able
today,
to do.
but you can't.
No, if you have enough money, you can.
Well, you can't get the money.
Well, that's a
today.
problem, that people can't get
That's
the money,
right.
or people can't get the
but
bit.
also
They
you-
can't get bare subsistence.
But also,
A lot
you
of
did
people.
not need to borrow that much money to be successful. You could work. You could be successful on your own.
Okay.
Being successful does not mean making $1 billion for going out to lunch and dinner every day. That
Like
is
the
not
rich.
work. That is not work.
No.
And I don't think they
No, you
deserve-
gotta take
and
some
I don't
vacations
think
in the
they
Caribbean.
deserve any more than a garbage man, quite frankly.
Well, that's a
The
little
garbage
thing.
man at least works for his money.
Yeah, well, that physically works and everything. Okay,
Well,
the
they
point
should be
being, let's get
paid.
back to Bernie, okay? Or let's get back to the current thing on this March 15 of 2016. There's an election going in 5 different states that could determine the way the whole political process is
It's
going to
already
go.
been planned.
Do you
the
think
votes
there's any
are
hope?
already counted before they're made.
Well, in that case,
They've
there are
already
questions. I
decided
can't
who's
ask any
getting in.
question that because you're so. But do you think there's any chance of, let's just say, Bernie, who you seem to find some affection for what he says or makes
Well,
some
who
sense?
wouldn't? It
Well,
makes sense.
Well, there's a lot of people who don't. But anyway, that's another
Do you
issue.
think any of the other candidates make any sense?
Well, in their own terms. But anyway, the point is that do you think there's a chance that he could get the nomination of the Democratic Party?
Absolutely.
And do you think
if
beyond
they
that,
counted the
beyond all
votes,
that, beyond
if they count the
well-
votes, he will get them.
well, I'm asking
get
you
it.
to make a projection, and if he does get the election or the vote, I mean the nomination, rather than let's say Hillary, who seems to be the front runner in terms of the establishment, then he could win the election and become the president of the United States. Is there any hope of that, or are we on a
I
lost
certainly
cause?
hope so.
Yeah, right.
I certainly hope
No, I'm asking,
so.
what do you think?
I
Most
believe
of the
that he's
people-
our only chance.
Mm-hmm.
And if not, we're going right down, just the way Germany did in the 30s.
Boy, that's pretty far to go. Yeah.
Well, haven't you noticed it, Harold?
Well, I've noticed a lot of things that are going. But my contention is that he is trying to get at something that is because he's criticizing the system, political system, and the economic system that's in
Well,
place
isn't he
and
right?
forms the basis of what's called the established way of doing
Well,
things.
don't you think he's right?
Well,
What do you disagree with that he says?
well, I'm just making the
But
point. I
what
mean,
do you disagree? Is there anything that you disagree with?
I don't know what you're saying, really.
Do
I
you
don't.
disagree with anything Bernie says?
No, not well. Yeah, no. The facts that he comes up with are very well taken. Whether they can become it has any practical
Well,
significance,
that's
I
what
don't
all
know.
the other.
There's a lot of intellectuals who, like, I could take
the
everything
other
you're.
politicians
I could
are
take
saying the
everything you're
same
saying.
thing.
I could take everything you're saying, and well, that's the reality, and that's it. But he's
Well,
got.
if it would be the reality, we'd all be a lot better off.
Well, I wonder. But anyway,
Well, you'd certainly be better off than we are now.
Well, you've got a very biased view of the human condition, and that's okay. A lot of people do.
I believe in equality. I believe in honesty. I
Well,
don't
you believe in
in
things.
lying.
No, are you talking about systems or just in some
I'm
examples or
talking
something?
about everybody.
You're talking about everybody. You're talking about something that there has never been. That's the point I'm
Well,
making.
there should be.
Nor has there been the.
Well, there should
nor
be.
has there been the ability for there to be anything other than
That's because
authoritarianism.
people become corrupt, and corruption is sick.
Well, okay. I'm trying to say, is it now something?
So are
I'm
you
making the point.
defending
You're
corruption?
no, you're not able to hear or something. But
I don't want to hear about
okay,
corruption.
then
I
you.
disagree with it.
Well,
I
I'm trying to.
disagree with lying, stealing, cheating,
Well, yeah, but you're
and
okay.
inequality and racism.
But I'm trying to make a point. You're arguing for something that is, if you're talking about systems or the whole of humanity and the planet, you're talking and looking and wanting something just to make the point. There never has been.
But don't you
that's
think
fair
they
enough to
should
say.
have?
Well,
Don't you think it should
well,
be
in a
that
certain
way?
sense, I think that that it probably no, it's never been possible.
But don't you think it should be possible? Why are you accepting that we have to accept corruption?
You have to accept the historically inherited institution.
No, you don't.
Well, you don't.
You
Well, a
don't
lot of
have-
people feel you do.
Well, that's
you know.
what's wrong with. That's why we are in the position we are in.
No, I'm trying to make a point that I can't seem to do, but it is that
Well, maybe your point is not right.
maybe that might be. I recognize that possibility.
Well, if you're trying
but
to
I can't make
defend
the
corruption,
point. I'm not. I think it's just obvious that there's never. What does it mean to be a have? You're talking about the
there
have.
have been
Okay.
times when things have been okay
Oh.
throughout history. That we concentrate on the bad things. We're in the bad times now,
Mm-hmm.
but there have been times when they have been good. So don't say there has never. That
No,
is
not
true.
collectively. There's
That
never
is
been a
not
time
true,
when it has been
Harold.
collectively like you're talking about. I'm talking about a real qualitative transformation of liberation and a system that is relevant to the future. That's what I'm talking about. It's
Well,
never
I don't know what
been
you're
able
talking about
it never,
about
well, I'm trying to
systems.
get you to understand, does Bernie represent that?
Yes.
Or the beginnings of that?
Yes.
Or something that might
Yes,
lead into
he
that?
represents the only way to get there.
Uh-huh.
There is no other way because you can't go where
So-
all of these clowns are going.
Now, what happens, and I'm happy to hear, I heard you say you were interested in trying to do some work. I know you did all that work with the volunteers back then in the Perot time, and that was good. You were involved. Now, you have a hard time getting involved now. Suppose it happens that he's not going, the odds are he's not going to be able to do that, become the president.
Well,
you
you're
know,
going to get rid of Social Security. You're going
Well,
to
no,
have
no, okay.
homelessness.
Yeah.
Your
right.
banks are going to be bankrupt.
No.
Your credit card companies are going under. Wall Street is going under because nobody can afford to keep buying what they would like you to do, to keep buying, buying, buying. You can't have a society built on consumerism.
Well, the role of I would submit, in a certain sense, economically, the role of the population, rather than its contribution to production, should be they should have the means to consume. They don't.
First
People,
of all,
people who are
need to
unemployed,
consume
people
more
who are
than
living
you
in.
need, Harold. Everybody's consuming. But why are we consuming all this stuff? Everybody has closets full of stuff they don't need. They're all taking warehouses to store their things. Why do they have to do that? Who needs that? Why
Well-
do you need all this crap?
Well, I can't seem to make the point. So
Well,
that's okay.
Is that wrong?
I'm trying to
Do you
suggest.
think that people should be buying when they can't afford it?
No, I'm saying the
about
need of
Nike's-
the need of the system is for people to have the ability
The
to.
system
No,
is wrong.
why don't you let me get a sentence in?
Because
the
you don't,
need
you
of
don't
the,
let me get anything, and I'm not letting you do that to me.
Well, okay. If that's what you want, I can just let you rant. But the thing is that the major, in terms of economics and that kind of, and liaison with history, the major role that stands in the way of a system that has evolved an incredible ability to destroy and an equally yin and yang ability to provide for everybody and the ecology in an ecological sense and everything, that is there also, the capability. Now, with a major problem.
Read anything by Naomi Klein?
Of course, I've read all of
What
her
have
books.
you read?
I've read all of her books.
Have
And
you
global
read No
warming,
Lo-
I understand that's
Not
science.
global. Have you read No Logos?
I didn't read that. I didn't get that.
Okay. Are you
That was
aware
before,
of all these free trade zones where people, child labor and slavery?
Of course.
Okay. Well, this is what's happening in the country.
Mm-hmm.
This is what's happening in the world.
Okay.
And why are they doing this? why are Nike sneakers hundreds of dollars? Why aren't they $298?
Mm-hmm.
Why
Okay.
aren't Nike sneakers $298?
I don't know.
Well, there's no reason for them to be all this money, and also that all of these contractors
They got a term, all the market
and
will bear.
middlemen, all these contractors and middlemen who are not working, they're just taking that money out of the system. And people are going for homeless. They're going to food banks to eat today.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, that's right.
Except right now you don't see it because the food banks are indoors. But if Trump gets in, they're going to be outdoors like they were in the 30s.
Like
You're going to see lines outside.
Right. Well, okay, you successfully made it so I can't make a thought. That's okay. I mean, I've lost the thought I had, but...
well, you're talking about things
well, I'm
that
talking
are
about things
theoretical that
yeah.
have nothing to do with
no,
what's happening
no, you know what I'm
today.
talking about, if I could, is capability. Do you agree that we have... let me ask you a couple... I could ask you a that we have a capability with fracking and everything to where we could get global warming that would be disastrous? Is that science telling us that? Do you agree with that? That's a capability.
That we are capable of destroying the world
No,
with things like fracking, yes, I agree with that.
First of all, you should be
agree
careful
with
with your
fracking.
language. You're not going to destroy the world. I don't think there's anything that can destroy the world.
Yes,
they can
there
destroy our
is.
species.
How do you know we were not here before?
I don't know what that means.
We were here in the 1930s, exactly where we are now,
I don't understand.
politically. And
I don't. You want to make
financially and economically. Why don't people read history?
Well, I've read a lot of history.
Well, then don't you know that
well,
we're
I'm
in the
trying
same
to say
place?
some of it, but you don't want to do
But
it.
do you disagree? You disagree with me. You don't
I
agree
disagree.
that we are in a depression?
No, we're not
We
in
call
a
it
depression.
recession.
No.
Oh, you believe these numbers that they tell us there is no inflation. Even though you go into the supermarket and things go up 20% a week.
Yeah, that's
you
true.
still believe there's no inflation.
No, I didn't
because
say that.
I didn't
say
figures
that.
that say there's
No, I didn't say that
and
at all. I
unemployment,
can't say anything.
Well, do you believe unemployment is in the low digits?
Yeah,
lower
it's
digits?
down from what it was. It's down to about 8.
First of all, you'll never
fives.
know because they will never
Well,
tell
it's
you.
yeah, right. So okay, but the point I was trying to make, but I can't do it because you
Well,
you
I
jump
could
in
say
with
what
everything.
I think.
We should just let you talk, if you
No,
want.
I'm responding to what you're saying.
I'm not. You're not responding at all.
I'm giving you my
That's
opinion.
good, and
Okay,
you should
and
be
you're
able to.
giving me the opposite opinion.
I'm not
so
giving. I'm not getting a
we
chance to give any
disagree.
opinion as
Well-
it works. That's okay. That's okay. I should let you do it.
No,
and that's
I don't
cool.
want to
That's
do it.
cool.
Just keep talking, Harold.
No, I can't. We can't. But the thing is, I'm trying to make a point that can't be made. It's important. That's why it can't be made
Well,
because
what is
of.
the point you're trying to make?
Well, you don't let me do
What
it.
is the point?
Well, personally, first of all, when you're talking about the major problem in terms of in the economic reasonable term of the population of the world is not that we don't have the whole process of production of goods and services and the goods of civilization is becoming automated. It's becoming able to have tremendous capability, and you don't need people doing work in order to help make that happen. Now, that's the point.
You're assuming people don't want to work. People
No,
do want to work.
Well,
People enjoy working.
you were going to give me a
People
chance.
enjoy
You were going to give me a
creating
chance to
things.
talk.
Because
Now you don't want
we
to.
had this
All right.
discussion years ago.
Have we really? Well, I've
Yes,
still
we
been
had
thinking
this
about.
discussion years
Yeah. Okay.
ago.
Well, then maybe you're able to have overrode that. But the major, for whatever it's worth, for those who can hear it or something, is that the major problem of that is not that we don't have the capability of providing for everybody. We have a vastly expanded capability of providing in a living way for everybody and the
we're not
ecology. We have the
doing it.
capability,
We're
not the
doing
reality.
it.
Not
We're
the
not doing it.
That's right. I make
Why
a
not?
point. Why? Well, because people like you are
No,
talking and not
because
allowing
you know
something to come
why?
out.
Because they have control of distribution, and they will not distribute.
It's not okay.
There-
Now, could I pick up on something
Go
you
on.
said? The major problem that is needed. The people are not so much needed anymore as workers, or the labor theory of value is losing cachet. It certainly lost it in the Soviet Union, or anything trying to go on the labor theory of value about how important it is for human labor in the productive process. The main problem is that you're having a technologically augmented capability where they don't need people. Airplanes are going to fly themselves. They're going to have productive
capability. What are people supposed to do?
Well, let me finish. Don't interrupt. If you could not interrupt.
What are people supposed to do?
Well, no, I'm saying the major problem economically, and it has political consequence, is the people, the masses of the people do not have, they're trying to do it with all the things that they're doing, their policies and things, but they don't have the people of the world, including all the people, okay, and also some word from the creatures and so forth. They don't have the they don't have the wherewithal or the money to buy and clear the market. They should be consumers, and they should have the way of being...
No, they shouldn't be consumers. Why should you consume when you don't need something?
Because the system needs to have people to buy the capability.
No, the system does not.
Okay, well, I can't
Why
get a word in. I'm trying to make a point.
We're destroying our environment by providing things we don't need.
Well, that's another assumption.
We don't need $150 Nike sneakers.
Well, that's sort of obvious and everything. What the problem is in terms of the major problem is that people don't have money. That's the major problem. And the way that they are to get money...
Because the money is at the top of the pyramid because a few people are stealing it. That's why.
Well, if you want to say that, but that's
They're stealing their bank accounts
I've said
and
their
investments.
Okay, I've said that's nothing so unusual out of history. I've tried to get a sense of history.
It's right.
You have few people running things, so that's what you've got.
They're not running things, they are stealing.
So you have to have a way of getting money to people to buy what can be done. No, by buying...
So you distribute it equally.
No,
distribute it equally.
No,
and
I don't
think everybody go out and make their own stuff.
Well, okay, I don't understand. But I can't
they
follow.
Shouldn't have to go through the middleman.
Well, the market...
There are too many middlemen. This country has educated salespeople.
Yeah, it's
Insurance brokers, stockbrokers, salespeople. We don't have people who think. We don't have people who can make anything anymore. And don't think people don't want to do this. They do.
Well,
it's not valued today. They value the person who can sell.
Yeah, it's money.
That's it.
Money
Well,
is the major thing that operates the world. Money, yeah.
Well, it shouldn't be.
Well, all right, maybe it shouldn't, but what I'm trying to say is
what should be is housing, food, and happiness.
All right, you've got a way. I'm trying to make a point, but of course it's not being able to be made.
What do you need besides housing, food, and
what
happiness?
They need is what the people need.
And something for your brain.
No, well, you got to have.
You don't need anything else.
Okay, well, what I'm suggesting, just at one level, and I can't get into it. The major thing is the way they form the capital to produce the things, and is going exponentially without the need to have people to produce all kinds of stuff. Now wait,
the stuff
that's
they're
the point.
Producing
And
is
the only way, no, and you're making
junk.
no, you're just okay. But the major way in which
it falls apart.
The major way people are not connected through jobs to the way things are being produced. The assets that are producing it, all the capital assets, are owned by a tiny plutocratic class who are able to put up the money. They can put up the money, and then therefore they can.
That's what's wrong.
And then they can tap into the future earnings of the process that's being developed.
What future earnings? There are no future earnings.
There are future earnings out of investment.
First of all, you cannot take all the land, put it in private hands, and send it down to your ancestors. Because what happens to the people that are born in the world today, that they can't buy anything, they can't own anything.
Well, they don't have any money. They don't have a way to get money.
Do you think that
they don't have any way to get money, but they have a job?
Do you think the system that makes slaves
well, it's okay. What do you think of Bernie? You think there's any hope? That he could
think there's a lot of hope if they count the votes, but if they take the electoral system and the people that are running the country right now, which are the corporations, the government was dismantled about 30 to 40 years ago.
Well, that's about the Woodstock time.
We do not have a government.
What marked that?
The government is not working. We do not have a legal system.
Well, that's what Trump says.
There is no legal system.
That's what Trump says. He could do better. He can make good deals.
Well, he can't do
so he's
better.
he's appealing to a whole bunch of Americans
oh,
who
wait
are.
a minute. You believe him?
Well, no, I'm saying.
You believe him? You believe what he's telling him?
I'm saying that's what he
How
says.
could you possibly believe
How
what
does he
says?
How does he get all those people to come to
Because
those?
they're
And he's
stupid.
likely to. He's
because
likely.
they're stupid.
He's
they're
all right. They're stupid. Everybody's stupid. He's
They're
likely.
uneducated.
Okay, back again. Bernie is something, and then he's more likely to become at this stage. The Republican establishment's trying to fight him like tooth and nail
Of
if
course
they can.
they are.
All right, but he's likely to become. He's emerge out, and then is there any chance that Bernie would emerge out of the Democratic melee and be the president?
Bernie is our only hope.
Only
okay?
hope.
I
Now,
don't know if he will get it or not because the
what happens if
corruption
he
is so
doesn't?
great.
What's going to happen
well,
if he doesn't?
you see what's happening.
Okay, it'll just
Your
continue.
money's not worth anything anymore.
Mhm.
You can't buy anything.
Okay.
Everything that you buy falls apart.
That's the likelihood that everybody's selling is it.
and
So there's
food
no
is
hope.
getting so
Yeah, and it's
expensive.
just only going to get worse.
So you have
it's only going to get worse, and there's no way to see anything relevant.
Eventually, it will be Bernie or
What?
somebody like Bernie.
Oh, down the
Eventually.
line, maybe a couple
No,
decades.
it should be Bernie now.
Yeah, but if it isn't, I'm saying if
That
it
if
isn't,
it isn't, you can look at what Hitler did.
it would be out and out fascism.
It is
right?
out and out fascism right now.
I think you're overdoing it. That
no,
it
I
isn't
don't
out and out
think
fascism.
so.
Yeah, but
and I think that it's a word, but everyone's afraid to say it. Everyone is in denial. That's what really, I don't understand how people are in denial.
Well, okay. Well then, you've got your say and everything, and it seems pretty interesting and hard to understand in a way. But
Why
that
is it
is a
hard to
reality that's
understand?
seen by a lot
What's
of people.
wrong with
I think, and
equality?
anger. There's a lot of anger. You got a
What's
lot of
wrong with
anger, and a
equality?
lot of people have anger,
Yeah,
and a lot
because
of people.
there is
that's
no
what-
equality.
well, okay, for the reasons that you say.
And because people are deprived of happiness, they're deprived of money,
No.
they're deprived of equality,
Mm-hmm.
and
Yeah.
that is wrong. That's why people are angry.
Okay, and the only hope at this time is Bernie, then.
Well,
right?
the only
so
hope
people,
is people
You
who
don't
are
think there's any
honest.
hope if Hillary or the Democrats are voted in?
Unfortunately, I liked Hillary when she first got in, but unfortunately, when they got hold of that dress, they blackmailed them, and they had no choice but
When
to
they got
sell
rid
out.
of what? When they got a
When
hold
they
of
got
what?
hold of the dress.
What dress? I'm sorry, what dress? I don't know what you mean. Oh, you mean Mr. Clinton and Monica Lewinsky? Well, yeah, to have it go on something as stupid as
blackmailed
that.
him, and he did what every single one of those politicians
Why do you think all the blacks
are still doing it?
Why do you think all the African Americans are so enamored of Hillary and the Clinton name?
I don't think they are.
Well, they
I
just
think
carried South Carolina.
No, they didn't. They bought the
Oh,
votes.
you think that's not even true, right?
No, I don't think that's true
Oh.
at all. I don't. You show me a black person here who is for this,
For what?
for fascism.
Oh, well, I don't think anybody's for fascism. It's a word that's got sort of lost cachet, as they say. Well, listen, thanks for putting on this
You're
very
welcome.
positive view of the human condition. I'm glad that we can go to Gloria Messer to get a positive take on a very bleak situation and get it straight and everything like that. And I thank you for that. And there's the picture of Bernie, and it's going to be interesting. What do you think's going to? How do you think we have to go home and watch the election returns on this very day?
Yeah.
This marks it historically.
Yeah, it's a joke. It's really
You
a
think
joke.
it's a joke, right?
Yeah.
I think it's kind of important who wins and
Well,
everything.
it is important if they counted the votes.
Wasn't this something-
Or if the votes counted, if they counted
Do you
them.
think it was
the
a bad
votes don't count. It's
Yeah.
the electoral system that counts.
Okay. Well, anyway, you got a chance to say it all
We
out.
have to get rid of the electoral college.
Okay.
We must get rid of that.
Well, that's an issue. Okay, listen, you heard it here first, folks. An all-out support for the American system the way it is now from somebody who can find no faults whatsoever in the way things are
You
trending.
can't find faults?
No, I'm making a joke. That's called a joke. That's called a joke, you goose. But anyway, Gloria Messer, she's got the show here really good. She's been at it forever. She's really knowledgeable, and it's Access for All, really good. And she's a longtime public access producer and somebody who is very interested in trying to improve the human condition. And we thank you for all that. And thank you. We're coming back again tomorrow. Better roll the credit. And thanks a lot, Gloria. Thanks a lot for
Thanks,
that.
Harold.
One day I'll get One day I'll get a word in. But anyway, you heard it
I've
here.
accomplished something no one else can accomplish.
All right. And so that's that. And then we'll let that graphic run, and then that's it. So we'll be coming back again tomorrow, and that's about it. And everybody watch the election returns tonight, although you won't know it because it's going to air a week from tonight, or a week from tomorrow. So, okay, thanks for viewing, and thanks in the booth for the work, and thanks again. It's so good to see you again, you know. Still fighting Gloria Messer. That's great. Okay, so long. See you next time. That's funny. That's funny.
I'm sorry, Harold.
No, that's all right.
Before, this guy told me he couldn't get a word in edgewise either.